Have you ever thought about why we're here and what we're supposed to do with our lives? I certainly have. From a very early age, maybe 4 or 5, I used to sort of ponder the meaning of life whilst lying on my bed. Sometimes I'd try and talk to my parents about my ideas, but they would just promptly tell me to stop speaking nonsense. So anyway, over the last 2 years, I think most of us have encountered something straight in our faces, which is that good and evil are not abstract concepts. They actually exist. And that's helped me to refine my ideas about what we're here for. And to cut to the chase, I believe that all of this, like me, I'm not an accident. Those trees aren't even an accident. We have a intelligent designer, otherwise known as God. So in a nutshell then, what we're here for is for God's pleasure, is to please God. Now, those of you that are parents know that when you have a kid, what you want is the very best for them, and you want them to develop as individuals. So you can boss somebody out about a little kid about, you can be a helicopter parent, but they're not going to develop. And for me as a parent, I was never going to do that. That would have brought me a lot of sadness, basically. So I think God is the same. What we're here for is to learn through our experiences and turn away from Satan sins, like pride, jealousy, all the stuff that's written in the Bible that we're not supposed to do, and instead choose the truth and the light of Jesus Christ and what he stood for. And if you've never read the Bible before, have a read of it with an open mind. Maybe get yourself a Good News Bible, and read maybe the Sermon on the Mount. That would be a really good place to start. So I think, again, when we reject Satan and embrace the teachings of Jesus Christ, that does two things. First of all, it brings pleasure to us ourselves, but it also gives pleasure to God too. So, if you go back into the Old Testament, God didn't like it, when people were doing the wrong things, in the times of Sodom and Gomorrah, for example. So I think that's why we're here. We're here to please God, and we please God when we use our free will to do the right things rather than the wrong things. And the right things are basically following the Ten Commandments, or trying our very best to do that. So that's what I think the meaning of life is to please God and to do what's right. And we all kind of know what's right inside our own hearts, basically. But Satan, he got cast out of heaven onto earth, and he places various temptations in our path. And what we're supposed to do is to reject those temptations, lead us not into temptation, from the Lord's Prayer, and actually follow a different path, the path of Jesus Christ. So that's what I think it's about. And I think, you could call that wisdom, couldn't you? And I guess the other thing that I used to say to kids that's relevant is that what you want to do with your life is to use your God-given talents, develop them, and then use your talents in the service of others, helping others. And some people call that work, don't they? Like if you are working in the private sector where people have a choice about whether they buy your good or your service, and they choose to buy it of their own free choice, then you're obviously helping them in some way, because that transaction is voluntary. Working in the public sector, there's no, in many cases, there's no free will there. So you don't know for sure, if you're working in the public sector, whether you're actually helping others or not. For example, if you're producing a particular type of medicine that people are being coerced into taking, and you might say, well, oh yes, I'm helping others. I'm a doctor. I'm helping others. Who knows whether you are or not? You might be. You might not be. Anyway, just to sort of finish off, a few bits of scripture, I think, that might be relevant. So the first one comes from the Genesis, the Old Testament. So this is Genesis chapter 1, verse 26 to 28. So it goes like this. So then God said, let us make man in our image after our likeness. So this is what I firmly believe, is that we're made in God's image. And let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the heavens, and over the livestock, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth. So, again, for me, I would say all this stuff about what's it like, veganism and all of that, it's contrary to what's in the Bible. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God he created him, male and female he created them. So there appears to be only two. Oh, better not go there, because I don't want to get banned again. And God blessed them, and God said to them, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and subdue it. And so, again, it's kind of the opposite of, Jill Bates and his DEPOPULATION. And, it's against all of this stuff, all the kind of animal rights stuff. And so, to subdue it and have dominion over the fish of the sea and over the birds of the heavens and over every living thing that moves on the earth. So another thing that I thought was relevant was John chapter 6, verse 35. So it says, Jesus said to them, I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me shall not hunger, and whoever believes in me shall not thirst. So I think that's relevant to what I'm saying, because what God's basically saying there is that if you follow the light, you'll have a good life. You'll have a pleasurable life. The way to happiness. I remember I sussed this out very, very early on in my 20s. What made me happy was helping others, doing something useful with my life. I studied economics at university, and when I graduated, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I was a bit clueless back in those days, because I was young. I hadn't experienced anything. So I did a few kind of jobs that people with economics degrees normally do, earn shed loads of money. But I used to sort of think to myself, there's got to be more to life than this, And I didn't think I was doing anything particularly useful. And that, used to eat me up, basically. I couldn't cope with it. So, eventually I became, after trying out a few things, I became a teacher, and I really enjoyed that job because I felt I was doing something useful. Again, I was it was my downfall in the end, but I used to sort of also do other things apart from teach the economics syllabus. I used to try to ask kids questions and to get them to think critically about stuff, including the things that I'm talking about now, about the meaning of life. Because the last school that I worked at in particular, it was an expensive private school in Surrey. It had a lot of kids who had been just programmed into materialism, and I think a lot of them really struggled mentally. A lot of them had mental health issues, and I'm not surprised, because they'd been told by their parents to look for happiness in exactly the wrong places, in stuff and status rather than in people. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed that, and God bless you.